Well, they're loyal tenants facing uncertain futures in extraordinary times. Desperate families and small business owners appealing to landlords for a fair go amid calls for a temporary ban on evictions.
I really want this to be my life.
I can't sleep.
They're the human faces of Australia's rental crisis. Father of two, Kyle Boff owns a catering franchise in Adelaide. He says his business is slowly crumbling and he's just had to lay off more than a dozen workers.
It was my birthday on Monday, a couple of days ago, and on that day I had to actually shut down the business and let go of all my staff, so it's a little bit emotional.
Kyle's modest home costs $1,400 a month in rent, and with no way to make that, he fears he'll have to move his family into his factory.
All I care about is my family, pretty much. Business, yes, but that's business, but family is the most important thing in my life, and it always will be.
Sadly, his story isn't an isolated one. Around the country, tenants have no idea how they'll put food on the table, let alone pay their rent.
People are not only going to be dying of this virus, there's going to be other deaths for other reasons.
Gold Coast woman Imelda Dowell says she's lost all of her income and has just received an email threatening eviction if she doesn't pay her rent in full.
I broke into tears. Absolutely gutted. Who do they think they are?
Michelle Letty is another tenant struggling to cope.
Like last night, I was up until 3:30 in the morning, just worrying, and there's no certainty.
With mounting bills, the Melbourne retail worker doesn't want to think about what might happen next.
Emotionally, it's daunting because I can't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and I just find that my financial situation is just going to get 10 times worse, each day, and I get worried about it.
Michelle's been in a stable job since her early teens, but now, like so many, she's applied to Centrelink for help.
If there are no changes right now, there is a risk of many people becoming homeless as a result, particularly of rent payments.
I never would have imagined myself joining that line at my age, being a small business owner.
With 30% of Aussies, or 8 million of us, renting, tenants advocates want landlords banned from evicting them during coronavirus.
We don't want the most vulnerable in our community to end up paying the biggest cost for this health crisis.
Penny Carr is CEO of Tenants Queensland.
We want to see reductions all the way down the system. We'd like to see some mortgage relief and then rent relief as a consequence.
They've got 6 months off. Why can't they pass that forward and give the tenant 6 months off at the same time?
All they're doing is transferring the difficulties from the tenant to the landlord. They haven't solved the problem. It's just a transfer of the problem.
Tim McGibbon is Chief Executive of the Real Estate Institute of New South Wales. He says any move to freeze rent could be exploited by tenants.
By asking a landlord to effectively provide social housing is, in my view, completely inappropriate. I've also had reports from agents telling me that people who haven't lost their jobs are presenting themselves for rent reductions anyway.
Now with these latest events, we just want a break, and he's asked me to leave on the 10th of April. If you can't pay, then vacate. It's appalling.
Peter Thompson has run this game store in Melbourne's Pakenham for 2 years. He says the entire shopping strip is struggling.
I'd just like our landlord to negotiate something fair. I get it, he's got debts as well. He needs to feed his family. But we're all in this together, and he could at least give us some sort of break.
Several of Peter's neighbouring shops have already temporarily shut, and he fears he'll be next. A week ago, the federal government flagged a suite of changes to help both families and businesses struggling to pay their rent because of the coronavirus. But as for the detail, that's something we're yet to see. Some states have gone it alone. The Tasmanian government introducing extraordinary emergency laws to block tenants from being evicted, while the New South Wales Parliament has given the minister the power to do the same, but the government says it'll only act if it's in line with the consensus reached by the National Cabinet.
I'm asking for the rent be reduced or if not stopped, because the government's given 6-month leeway to all the people who have a mortgage and even having your rent. So I can't see why they can't pass that buck down towards the tenants pretty much.
Carl says he can only afford the family home for another month, but the landlord of his business premises has agreed to halve that rent, which should buy him a little more time.